Hello and welcome everyone to this third part in this video tutorial series about graphical user interface in the Win32 API. So in the previous part we had this result. So we worked with the menus and we created the menu bar, menu items and submenus. So these perform specific tasks. So in this video tutorial we're going to have a look at controls. So just like this window here, it has a frame and it has a menu bar, but you can see there is a whole lot of empty space inside this window. So this is where the controls will lie. So controls are all the components which are present inside the window, like the buttons, the checkboxes, labels or text boxes, etc., what you call them in the modern APIs, the tabs, etc. So we're going to have a look at the controls in this video tutorial. We'll learn about two basic controls of the Win32 API, which will contain text. So the two types of controls are the static control and the edit control. So these are actually the predefined window classes which are defined in the Win32 API, which we can use to create the controls. So these are actually the classes of the Win32 API. So the static control can contain text or a bitmap image, but here we are only going to work with text. So the static control, user cannot change the contents of a static control. The content of it is decided when you write the code. So actually user it also cannot have keyboard focus or and so you cannot change any content in it, while the edit control is just like a text box in which you can manipulate the text using the keyboard input. So the static control is usually used as labels to label the things and to give an instruction to the user, and the edit control is usually used for the user input in the form of strings, the keyboard input. So we'll have a brief look at both of these controls. So just like in the previous video, we used the add menus function to add the menus. We'll define a function void add controls. So this function will add all the controls to our application. So now we need to decide from where to call this function. So we call the add menus function is being called from the WM create case of the window procedure. So we went through the Windows procedure in the previous parts, but we'll have a short look at this again. So window procedure is called again and again, and the messages are passed into the procedure. So when the window is first created, WM create is passed as message. So we are using the switch on message here. So when the message is WM create, that means that the window has been created for the first time, and this is the time when we add all of the menus, controls, and all sorts of other items to a window. So we call the add menus function from here. Similarly, we'll call add controls function. Actually this function is below this window procedure, so we'll need a prototype for it on the top. So we'll have a prototype for this function on the top of our program. So this is the function. So here we can start coding now. So this function will add all sorts of controls, and now you need to know that the controls are created using the create window function, because the controls are also windows, but they are just a bit of but the only difference is that they are the childs of the parent window. So here this is the parent window, which is actually the top level container in the hierarchy of these components, which components of an application. So this is the top level container, which is the window, and it contains childs, which are controls. Like it can have child windows, it can have child controls. So you can add some controls to here, controls in it, and you'll specify them as the child of this window, so they'll be present inside this window then. So you'll create the control similarly using the create window w function, like we created the main window. So but for that we needed to we created a class, my window class. So we first created a window class variable and then define the members, define the attributes of the class, and then we register that class. And then we created a window from that class using the create window function. But instead, the classes are already defined for the controls. Like a class is defined for static control, so you can create a window, or you can say that you can create a control using that class and add it as a child of this window. So we do not need to register another window class, but the class is already registered. They are predefined in the API. So we'll just use the create window w function to create the class. So we'll just call the function from here, create window w. So the first parameter, so actually this postfix w specifies that the parameters taken off by this create window function will be of type wchar. If you do not add w here, they'll just be of type char or other types, but we have been using the w postfix in all of the other function calls, so we'll just maintain this throughout our application. And also to get stuff, we'll also use this function with the w postfix at the end. So so first argument is of the type the name of the class. So the predefined class for the static control is static, but this is a wchar, so we need the L prefix here to specify that this is a wchar array of wchars. So actually this class name is not sensitive, you can not case sensitive, so you can, it doesn't matter if you specify them as capital or small. So the static class is a predefined class for the static control. So we've created so static control will contain some static text. So we have a static control here, and the next argument is the name of the window, so name of this control. So this, the second argument will actually be the text contained inside the control. So the static control is usually used as labels, so it'll just say enter text here, because this is what usually the labels do, and we'll have a text box, edit box under this, in which user can enter some stuff. So enter text here as a second argument, and now the third argument is style. So one thing you need to know is that you need to or two parameters in this style argument, which are ws window style underscore visible and ws child. So you need the or operator to combine them together, and if you're creating a component, a control which is child of another window, you will need both. You will need to combine both of these. So every control you create, you'll just have these two, and others you can have as you wish. So it'll be visible, and it is of the type child of the parent window. And the next argument is the x and y. Next two arguments are the x and y position of the control according to the window coordinates. So we first have created a window using the desktop, the coordinates of your screen, but the window coordinates will be different from that. So let's suppose that this is our window. This is our window. The top left corner is always the origin, so this will be 0, 0, and this side is positive x-axis and this side is positive y-axis. So this point will be width, height. So when we created our window using the create window w function, we specified the width and height as 500, 500. So this will be 500 till here, this will be 500 till here, so this point will be 500, 500. So this is just the Cartesian plane, it's just to the opposite side. You can say this is a fourth quadrant, but all the things are positive down here. So it starts from here, the x-axis, the y-axis at this side. So this point will be 0, 500, and similarly this will be 500, 0. So now you'll need a static control. You need to specify the position of the static control. So we want a static control right here. Oops. Just like that. So I'll label it S because this is a static control. So we want to specify the position. We want to specify its top left corner, so this will be its position, and its width will be 100. We'll specify it as 100. So to keep it in the center, this point should be 200, because the total width of this window is 500 and this point should be 300. So that means its width will be 100, and this point on y-axis will be 100. So its position on x-axis is 200 and on the y-axis is 100. So we'll specify its position down here when we child, and x position at the x-axis according to the window coordinates is 200 and on y-axis is 100. And the next two arguments are the width and the height of this. So its width is 100, it is visible, and you can set its height as 50 pixels. So this will be equal to 50. This is quite a considerable amount. So width is 100 and height is 50. And then the next argument is the parent. So which window it belongs to, you need to specify that. So we need to specify that using a window handler, but we currently do not have the window handler here. So we'll repeat the same procedure that we followed for the add menus function. We passed in the window handler of the parent window as an argument. So we'll just change the formal parameter list of this to accept a window handler, and we'll go on the top of our code and also change the prototype. And now when we're calling this function from here, the window procedure add controls, we can pass the window handler just like we pass that to the add menus function, because this is being passed into the window procedure. The handler of the parent window is being passed into the window procedure. So we can just pass it on to the add controls function and it can use it here. So now we have a handler for the window. So this will be the parent window of this control. And then the next argument is the h menu. So it's not associated with any type of menu, so we'll keep it null. And next argument is h instance. So this is a child actually, so we do not need any instance for it. And the next is some sort of parameter. We'll also keep that null. So the last three arguments null. We're going to do this for the most of the controls that we use here. So now you can build and run your application to check if this is working. Here it goes. It says enter text here, and the colon is actually in the next line. I'll capitalize it. Here it goes. And if you want a border to it, you can use another parameter here. You can use the OR operator to combine it with SS, which stands for static style underscore. Oh, sorry, this is not actually the type of the static control, but it's type of the window. So window style underscore border. So this will add a border to the static control. So there we go, we have a border now, the thick lining. And another thing you can do is, if you'll see here, the text is left aligned. If you want to change the alignment, you can use the SS, which is static style, and you can use center for center alignment. You can use right for right alignment. So we'll just use center here. So this will give center aligned text. So this is all about the static control, and the next thing we're going to learn about is the edit control. So the procedure for creating that is similar. Create window w, and class for that is just called edit, although you can keep the e capital if you want, but this is not case sensitive. You can keep it capital or lowercase, whatever you want. And the next argument is the default text for the edit box. Although user can interact with it and change the text, but the text you enter here in the second argument will be present in the text box by default. User can erase it and add text of his own. So I'll just add an ellipsis, which is 3 dots. This will be the default text for the box. And the next argument style, I told you to you have to include all of both of these, ws visible and ws child, in all the controls. And the next argument is the x and y position. So I just want my edit control to be just below the static control, although there will be some margin in between. So I can specify this position as because this is 50 units high, so this will be 152 because I also want some margin. So this point will be 152 on y-axis, and on the x-axis it will be just the same. See, this point is 200 comma 152, this one. So 200 comma 152 will be its position, and the next is the width and height, which will be same as the static control because it has just the same dimensions, 100 and 50. And the next is the handler for the parent window, which is same, h w and d. And I'll go into the next line to make it all visible to you. And the next argument is the h menu, then the h instance, and the l parameter, which will keep null as we did for the above control. And now we'll build and run. Oops. And now I'll build the application again and run it, and we should get this output. So you can now click here to so that it'll attain the focus, and now you can use the keyboard to give input to it. Although you can also try this ws border to give a border to it. Here it goes, and now it'll also have a thin black colored boundary. There it is. So now the next thing, the common problem you might come across is that it does not, once the line is finished, it continues on making the beep sound, and it does not enter into the next line. So you cannot enter any more text now. So this needs to be multi-line for you to move on to the next line. So what you'll do is you combine it with another constant, which is es, which stands for edit style underscore multi-line. So this will make it multi-line, and now you can actually it'll jump on to the next line by itself. So you can see here, I'll keep on entering the text and it'll jump to the next line. And the problem that now will arise is that when the box is full, it'll not scroll downwards. It'll just not accept any more text now because this is full. For that, you need to enable auto scrolling. So that I'll use the OR operator to combine another argument, which is edit style, auto v scroll, and scroll. There are two types, so we need to enable auto vertical scroll. So it can now scroll vertically. So like I enter some text here, and once it is full, it just keeps on moving to the next line, and you can use the direction keys to go up and down. But it still does not have horizontal scrolling because once the line is full, it jumps to the next line. If you want vertical scrolling, you can also, sorry, it doesn't have horizontal scrolling. So if you want that, you can enable es auto at scroll, and now it will continue to move on in the same line until you press return. See. So the next thing to do is to learn how to get the text present inside this edit box. So you can use this for user input, and now how do you get the text present inside it into a string? So we'll just learn about the procedure of that. So what we'll do now is that we'll enter some program and application to take input into this text box, and then we'll have a menu item here which we'll click, and the title of this window, which is currently my window, will be changed to the text present inside this edit control. So for that, we'll first change this name of the submenu item to change text. So we'll just find it up here, add menus function. There is the submenu item. We'll change its content to change title, and we currently do not have any constant to handle its messages, so we'll define it. We covered this all in the previous part. If you've not watched that, I recommend you to go back and watch it. So define change title as 4. So we'll change it to, and now we can handle this message in the window procedure, the wm command message, and the w parameter as case change title. So this is the place where we'll change the title of the window once the item has been pressed. So you can actually confirm it if it's working by going here, open submenu and change title. So this should work that way. So now we'll add all of the code to change the title here. So now to get the text present inside the edit control, we need a handler for the edit control. So now the problem is that we do not currently have a handler. Now how to solve this problem, you need to know that the create window function, whenever the window is created or the control is created, a handler to that control is returned. So we can store that in some sort of variable. So what we'll do is we'll go in the global scope here and we'll declare a new handler and we'll call it edit this, and when we are creating this edit control, we'll set edit equal to the value returned by this function. So this function when creates the edit control, it returns a handler to that, and it is assigned into the edit variable. So it's present in the global scope and we can use it from anywhere now. So we'll go back into the change title case, and here we can use the edit. So we can use the handler to get the text now. So the get window text message as get window text function call is used. It's a predefined function in the API. It is used to get the text present inside control. So we'll use the w postfix as always. So it'll return it'll use the string type of array of wchars. So it takes 3 arguments. The first one is the handler of the control of which we want to retrieve the text, so that is edit, and the next argument is the string, so the pointer to the string into which we want to accept the text. So for that we need to declare wchar text, and we'll keep its size 100 because I don't think that any input will be greater than 100, so we'll keep its size equal to 100. So we need to accept that into the text. So you can see that there's a w postfix. That means that it'll take arguments of type wchar. So we'll not declare a char, simple char, but we'll use wchar underscore t. So the third argument is the max count, so the maximum size of the string, which is 100 because the size of the string is 100. So we have our text of this control inside this string. So now to change the title of a window, we change the text of a window, which is, you say it's like that. So the function to do that is set window text, and we'll also use the w postfix because we have string in of the type wchar, so we'll use the w postfix. So it takes first argument as the handler of the window of which we want to change the text. So we want to change the text of this parent window, the parent window of which the handler has been passed inside the window procedure function. So this is the first argument, and the next argument is the text that we want to set as the title of this window, which is specified by the first argument. So that is text. So this string will be set as the title of this window now, and this string was a text present inside this control. So I'll now build and run my application to see if this is working or not. So it says enter text here. I enter some text here, hello. I'll go file, open submenu and change title, and there it goes. It changes the title to hello. You can try changing it again. I'll enter some big value and I'll go open submenu and change title, and it changed its title to that. I'll keep this box empty and I'll say change title, and there is no title now. So this is how this works. So in the upcoming video tutorials we'll learn about the buttons, because you do not always use the menu items to perform tasks like this. You might want a button to be down here, which you can click to change the title, but this is actually not quite satisfactory that you use the menu item to perform tasks like this. So we'll learn about buttons in the next video tutorial. So this is all for this part, and I'll see you next time.